who really represent a real cross section of the community from running for office.
Exactly.
And just, you know, and I hate
It's
to
been a
make this
rough
partisan,
year.
but
Crazy.
a spade's a spade, right?
Yeah.
I think in the last 3 legislatures, the Republican minority, in one way, shape, or form, even now, have in some way tried to open up the field for more people to
Whether
run.
it be
That
for
doesn't
independent
benefit the
candidates.
party
Right.
individually.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That doesn't benefit
Yeah,
anybody.
you attempted
but
it
the-
with the independent.
I did
legislation last year.
independent
Jim
and
has done it
the
this year.
part-time legislature, and I think it was Blas tried
Yeah.
to amend it so that independents can run, and
Yeah.
you didn't need more supporters than Republicans or Democrats.
Crazy.
It's just
Yeah.
And Jim Moylandes did that too with
Yeah.
the independents.
And you see
as well
what's
as
happening is the
part-time.
parties are eroding, or at least people's faith in the parties are
I
eroding.
think we're
Now
at
you're
a
having
point
candidates who exist and thrive outside of the party structure.
Because I think we're at a time in an era where a lot of the people don't necessarily want to associate themselves on either side.
Right.
They want to basically say, you know what, I believe a little bit of this. I ideologically believe a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Our public safety problems are not necessarily Republican or Democratic
Yep.
problems.
Right. He's a good
You know,
example of
our-
that because 90% of everything he believes is Democrat, and the fiscal responsibility stuff is Republican.
well, I'm just no, but that goes to what he was saying, right?
Right,
Butcher,
right,
baker,
yeah.
candlestick maker.
Right.
We want unique people with their unique ideas
Sure.
to run. It doesn't matter where you kind of lean on that.
right,
Well,
Victoria?
I was just going to say, then it opens up a larger question: does the two-party system work in our context? And if you look at like parliamentary governance, it's really based on issue-based campaigns,
Right,
not
exactly.
individuals.
Green Party,
and what they
Labor
do.
Party.
Yeah.
right,
Yeah, and you base it, and it's much more in line with what we see ancient Chamorro society with consensus-based
Right, yeah.
governance was, where there was representation across the board, and you would look at your whole demographic and ensure that every village and every community is represented, but they're not running based on who the person was or who they know
Yeah.
or who they're related to.
And I
It's
think
based
it's-
on an issue,
Sure.
and then you hold them to that issue.
Yep.
Right.
As opposed
You can't ever
to
hold a politician to an issue, though, with the way the voting system is. At large elections, people are able to dilute votes, and so even if what they say is unpopular, as long as they can hold their base together,
Right.
it doesn't matter how unpopular they are.
Right.
They'll have the votes to stay in office because I can't run against Senator X for this problem.
Right.
She's running, as long as she's top 15, doesn't matter.
See, but I beg to disagree, man. And I thought that too until I read, and I had no name, and everyone kept
complete
thinking
outsider.
if I didn't add the Barcinas in there, and you weren't from Maleso and Arahan or Umatic, I kept getting asked, Lana boy Mexicano, why are you running for office?
Orale.
There was no name, right? It's possible.
Well, it's not about getting in, it's about throwing people out. You can't, I can't not vote for you and vote for your opposition
I
to
wish
get
I could
you out.
vote against
I
people.
think voting is
Like, I
such
don't
a
even think I
personal
vote
thing.
for anybody.
Because I'll tell you right now, right? It's crazy because, and I don't necessarily take like when, I take it humbly when somebody says I'm going to vote for you. Hell, even when I didn't run, people are still coming up to me saying, I voted for you, right? And I just, respectfully,
Like, I
thank
didn't
you.
even run. You
But-
voted for me?
But
What?
I'm just saying, like,
vote you in,
when
you know?
people go there in the booth, even though,
Right,
hey, your
yeah.
family, their vote is their own. So if they're saying, I'm going to bullet you, that's their
Yeah,
prerogative.
I don't
they
have a
might
problem
not
with the
be.
vote. I'm saying there's a systemic issue with the
Right,
voting
yeah.
itself.
And here's another way the party system is eroded is you get like the current crop of senators, especially some of the ones that have been around for more than this term. I mean, they looked dynamite when they were calling out Eddie when they had that,
Yeah.
you know,
And now all of a sudden they're all
that
quiet.
opposition, right? I mean, it's like, wow, they're really for transparency, they're really for accountability. And then you get it in a Democratic supermajority now, and you don't have a Labor candidate because Auntie Lou's going to get mad if you
Yeah.
go and
Hey,
bestie
in
Dave
2018
Delasola.
in 2018
You don't
it
have
was-
public safety because, we can't say anything bad about the chief because he's... I mean, there was a hearing where you had the director of Guam Housing Corporation, Alice Tyron, was in there trying to get some of this so-called deficit, whatever, this money that's left over. It's a surplus, but they're saying don't call it a surplus. We're going to pay down the deficit. So Joe St. Augustine asked her, hey, your governor said there's no surplus. Like, does she even know you're here asking for money from this surplus? What would she think? And I mean, basically, Alice was like, oh, God, no, I respectfully, like, she was so scared. And that's the problem is
Well,
that,
in 2018, it was safe to say roll back the
Right.
BPT. In 2019, it
Oh,
was
and
like, no, leave the money alone.
When you're in charge of the
2018,
government now, right?
In 2018, it was like, shame on this governor, on
Right,
his executive
right.
security.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
got to cut this down. In 2019, it's like, oh no, they're gonna, I
and
trust
watch,
them.
I really think they're going to pay this election. I think this election, people are going to be like, no. Because
But-
there's no checks and balances.
There
I mean, the
isn't.
legislature is pretty much part of the executive branch.
I remember.
it's
I-
They are.
It's crazy.
I remember when I
Pass
was
out
in there.
representatives.
The administration basically owns this legislature.
They do.
They
Yeah.
own the party.
Yeah.
If you look at the party rolls, it's a who's who of Lou and Josh supporters.
And then if you look at-
so their
at-
takeover of the party is
I
pretty
mean,
much complete.
there are Democrats in the legislature who are really trying to be that opposition voice, but they're
Two.
getting buried.
Yeah, I mean,
You know what I
I
mean?
give a lot. I
They're
commend Senator Theresa Lahi.
Right, of
I
course.
actually, someone who I've gotten to know a little bit more, and I really admire her work, is Senator Sabina Paris.
Right.
Very independent-minded, very thorough in her work, and these are the individuals. I mean, that's really the big.
Issue-based candidate.